What's up, my rebels? How's everybody today? Kamari Ellis here, the Finance Rebel. Welcome to another edition of the Finance Rebel Show. You know, today is Wednesday, and Wednesday is our Wealthy Wednesday segment. And so today we are talking about money. But I want to do something a little bit different today. So I got some help. I had to go get some more recruitment. Y'all been noticing I pulled Courtney in with me the other day, the Ivy investor, and we had a great conversation on Saturday during our Wealthy Conversation segment of the Finance Rebel Show. But today, I went and got some backup too. So I had to go all the way down to Texas to get my man, Mr. Robert Lewis, to come in, and so we could have this conversation. And so today, you know, we're still going to answer questions. We're still going to do some things. But I got pulled into this post, right? And it's social media, financial advice. And so I figured we would go over it. But before we get into all that, got to say my salutations and greetings to Mr. Robert. How are you, sir?
All is well, good sir. Thank you for having me again. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm breathing on schedule. I stole that from my homegirl, Tiffany Bacon. I love that. I love that phrase. Yeah, but all's well, just working. Tax deadline is coming up next week for all those who filed tax extensions. So October 15th is the tax deadline. Remember, it is not an extension to pay, only an extension to file. So make sure you get those returns in so you can avoid any problems with the IRS, avoid any penalties with the IRS, and avoid any fines with the IRS. Before we get into it too much, make sure you share this out. Again, I'm Kamari Ellis. This is the Finance Rebel Show. Today is Wednesday, our Wealthy Wednesday segment. So share this out with someone who is looking to increase their financial IQ. Remember, rebellion, right? This is a rebellion, folks. The system is set up for you to fail. So you can't follow the system's guidelines because all the system wants you to do is go to work, come home, retire at about 65, spend all your money in between, and just keep working for the man. And, you know, we want something different. I know I want something different. I hope you want something different too. I know what I want, but I can't hope for you more than you want it for yourself. But I say, hey, we all got to rebel. We all have to figure out a different way to go about things, the way to think about things, and the way to execute things. So keep that in mind as you watch these shows. Now, do me a favor. Share these out with everybody. Share them out with your Facebook friends, your YouTube friends. We're not broadcasting on IG today because of a couple of technical difficulties, but share them out and keep spreading the word with us. Because listen, we are fighting against the algorithms. The algorithms don't want us. The man don't want us. So, you know, we want to keep spreading this good information out there and keeping the hope and the faith up there too. So Miss Edith is in the house. How you doing, Miss Edith? What's new, Miss Edith? Tell me something good. Oh, my man Darren Miller's here. Listen, Darren, I want you to stick around. I'm not just saying that if you can. There's something floating around out here, some advice around life insurance, and I was hoping to get your thoughts on it as we go through it. Latoya is another Texan, so we got Texans in the house. How you doing, Latoya? Thanks for dropping by. So, Robert, what's going on in the mortgage world?
It's busy, man. Lots of action, a lot of volatility, you know, a lot of purchasing as well as a lot of refinancing going on. So very busy, man. Very busy.
So I'm always getting questions about, you know, buying a home, getting a mortgage for a home. You just actually did a mortgage for a client of mine. Appreciate you for that. Customer service was A1. Again, appreciate you for that. Doesn't look like home buying has slowed down any in COVID-19 and its corona madness. Have you seen any slowdown on your side?
There has not been any slowdown, and I think we'll get into it as we go into the conversation because I know you have a better grasp on the bond market and things of that nature. But long and short, it's a supply demand problem. Whenever rates are pushed down or as low as they are, asset prices, home prices are increasing. Elderly folks aren't really selling because of what's going on in the market. So we have a shortage of homes, especially in certain price points. And as a result, it's a frenzy out here, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Miss Edith checking in. Are you late? No, I'm not late. I thought I was here on time, Miss Edith. You my time. You the hall monitor, huh, Miss Edith? I appreciate you though. All right. So Dan's been hanging with us. Miss Edith says, I purchased life insurance whole life for me and the grandkids. Okay. Sweet, sweet, sweet. What are you going to use it for, Miss Edith? Hey, Katisa, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. Oh, you watched my interview with the Kaizen investor. Yeah. Shout out to the Kaizen investor. That interview was pretty dope. She had me come on and talk about life insurance and why it's important. We are in October right now, but listen, y'all know I promote things that are good for us, especially in the Black community. Every day I am on broadcasting. So September was Life Insurance Awareness Month. Again, we are now, it's October 7th. We're 7 days past September. September's Life Insurance Awareness. But guess what? We just going to keep talking about life insurance because more people need life insurance. I think the stat says 46% of people in the United States are underinsured or do not have coverage.
Wow.
So that's a pretty staggering number. And I have a feeling that those numbers probably skew higher in Black community. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Nobody was on but me at 8 p.m. Oh, okay, Miss Edith. All right, you clocking me. You got me. I think I got on at like 8:02 and 30 seconds or something like that. So I apologize.
Miss Edith is a faithful follower of yours, man. You got to be on time.
Listen, I can't. I'm just having fun, Miss Edith. I appreciate Miss Edith. I'm honored by Miss Edith. She is here just about every broadcast that I do, along with Tiffany Thompson. Hey, Tiffany, thank you for joining. Appreciate you as well. Hey, Jody. That's my big sis right there. How you doing, Jody? So Jody's here a lot too, but Jody be working, so she can't make them all. So listen, I'm glad that the whole tribe is here whenever they can get here. So I'm just appreciative of what we have here. And Alexandria gets in here a lot too, so I appreciate you as well. All right, so listen, I wanted to go over a few things, a few little social media. I don't know what to call them. Social media financial advice, right? That I saw out there that I kind of got dragged into. So I want to share it in there. And as we go through them, what's up, African? How you doing? And as we go through them, I wanted to get y'all's feedback. Y'all let me know if it's good or bad. So just say good or bad. So what I want to do is I want to read off like this whole post of things, right? So just be patient. I'm going to read off this whole post, and then we're going to come back and we're going to go through it topic by topic. So there's about 10 topics or 10 points altogether. So just bear with me for one second. Un momento. Now I got to go back and find the post again. But I do have it here. I got it here. That's not it. That ain't it. So this is just real simple, y'all. Nothing fancy. I just wanted to share this with everybody. All right, so let me take you off the screen, right? So, all right, so here is like a whole listing. It was a Facebook post that I saw, but I wanted to share it with everybody because, as y'all know, I'm always out here fighting the social media gurus, the social media financial gurus, the social media LLC gurus, the social media stock market gurus. By the way, I've got over 20 years in the whole thing, so I can tell you a thing or two about all of it. But let's run through it real quick. So it says buy a house and get a 15-year mortgage rather than a 30-year mortgage. Saves a lot of money and interest over the life of the loan. If you must get the 30-year, verify that there is no prepayment penalty. This gives you the flexibility of paying it off early if you are able. But it also gives you the option of making lower payments when times are tough. All right. When you start your job, get an HSA account and not an FSA and get the high deductible insurance plan. It will lower your tax bracket and the money is yours to use. You can earn 40% in most cases after 10K. All right. Never buy a car brand new. I've watched Escalades go from 100K new to 30K 4 years later. All right. Go get you an LLC, incorporate your name, and run it as an S Corp. Remember Jay-Z's quote, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let that sink in. All right. Build business credit. The loans are bigger and the interest rates are lower. Get a business bank account. In most cases, the cost around $500 to start. Some people got 2 stimulus checks, one from Trump and one from the SBA. Also, no fees. Go to community college first and transfer into a 4-year college unless you have scholarships to help mitigate the cost. As a junior, School is a power move. You must be able to secure the bag. Majors in STEM will always be needed and in high demand, and the skills will directly help the Black community. That's almost it. Get your peers from your graduating class and others together at homecoming on one day for 2 hours to plot and strategize how you can move our communities forward. Commerce, politics, educate, small business, real estate, etc. If you want to support Black people, support Black business and Black institutions of higher education. Get life insurance for you, whole life, and your children, term, as soon as they are born. One thing is for sure, is you will die. Might as well leave your children or people something extra. The sooner you get it, the sooner you get it, the cheaper it is. And you can borrow against it to fund certain projects. Also, the ones that pay out dividends are the best. They normally are associated with the money market accounts. IULs are great. By the way, IUL stands for Index Universal Life. Index Universal Life. So the other one is get the people in your immediate family to save collectively. If 10 people save $500 a month, that's $60K every year. You could buy 3 starter homes every year, and in 4 years, all 10 of you are home owners. Buy on the same block or neighborhood if you can. This way you can control the value of homes. Remember, monopoly. We need to promote financial literacy, building capital, and creating equity to create generational wealth. Having financial freedom is everything. This is not being taught in the school curriculum or our educational systems. We must do for ourselves. And then it says, I need 10 people to copy and repaste this to pages and groups. Repost. All right. So tell me what y'all think of that. What's your initial thought about that? Man,
I agree with several, and there's 2 or 3 of them in there that I think, it doesn't have to be an either or, like the whole and term life insurance situation. I also don't disagree with the education piece about junior college before a 4-year university to kind of cut down cost, unless you have a scholarship or something of that nature. And so, I'm probably about 75%, I would say yes to a lot of stuff that I heard.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Hey, Miss Jody.
So, I'm not the mortgage guy. So it just kind of happened to work out like this, right, today. So I have the mortgage guy on. So the first point in there says 15-year versus 30-year mortgage. So it says buy a house and get a 15-year fixed mortgage rather than a 30-year mortgage. Saves a lot of money and interest over the life of the loan. If you must get the 30-year mortgage, verify that there is no prepayment penalty that gives you the flexibility of paying it off early if you're able. But it also gives you the option of making lower payments when times are rough. Now, remember, folks, y'all tell me if y'all think this is a good idea or a bad idea. Say good, bad. Just one word, good, bad. All right, Robert. So, this is your field. This is your expertise. So,
yeah. So
you think about this?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a case by case. First of all, the numbers show that most of us live in houses for 7 to 8 years. So I say you have to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I don't want to deviate from the post because a 15 opposed to a 30 year in the context that it was made. It's about cash flow. Can you handle a larger monthly payment? But ultimately, what are you trying to achieve? So the misnomer that most of us are in houses for 15 or 30 years, you got to figure out if that's you. If that's you, I do like a 30-year strategy for somebody that maybe starting out that would create more cash flow. And if you have the discipline and the ability to add certain amounts of payments, either monthly or once a year, you accomplish the same thing. I mean, I can tell you exactly how much you need to pay off a 30-year loan in 10 years. The question is, are you going to be disciplined enough? Right. Lastly, the point about a fixed rate mortgage, Again, adjustable rate mortgages back in 05, 6, 7, and 8 got a bad rap. If you're sophisticated and savvy enough, and you know you're only going to be in said home 4, 5, 6 years, an adjustable rate mortgage might be good for you. But again, for the masses, fixed interest, no prepayment penalty, is the way to go. So it's a case by case basis, man.
Now, what I find is when I'm working with clients and just interacting, I find a lot of times people buy too much home on their first go round. And so they stretch their budget, they stretch all their means to the point of almost breaking. And so I don't really think people understand the difference between a 30-year and a 15-year in terms of the cost overall. I mean, so is 15 years, you got 15 years to pay off this mortgage versus 30 years. Is the payment half? Is it double? What's the payment look like?
It's not the payment, but the total payback is double. A little over double if you go 30 years. And anybody could pull up Google an amortization calculator online, right, and use whatever loan amount, whatever interest rate. And when you look at the amortization schedule for the total payback, 15 years is going to be more cost total. But again, are you going to be in that house for 30 years? Pardon me.
Wait a minute. You said 15 years is going to be more cost overall.
I apologize. Let me digress. 15 years total cost is going to be less, but the monthly payment is going to be larger because you're shortening the term.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the 30-year payment, and that's why a lot of folks use the 30 years because they're buying more home than they can afford. And this is going to segue, not to jump to questions, but this goes to that college piece that I like, because I see a lot of folks with a lot of student loan debt and they can't buy a home in which, your total debt to income ratio is 30% or less, right? So because of higher debt levels, they're stretching the payment out longer, 30 years, right? And some other factors that are there, not just because people have big eyeballs and want to buy stuff that they can't afford, but again, in this market and environment that we've been in for the last 6 months, when the Fed is pumping or not really providing liquidity into the market as far as dollars, but making it so the market continue to move, asset prices go up. And so you have larger purchase prices for the same homes, maybe, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. But back to the point, the total cost on 30 years is going to be more than 15. But those are some of the reasons why people are having to go 30 years because of some of the debt and the, prices of the homes.
Gotcha. Now, what is the rates for the 30-year right now and the 15-year? And I know a lot of times it's subject to credit rating and everything else.
I would say, and I'll do loan type. So any government insured loan, FHA, VA, USDA, 680 and above. And not only are they credit score specific, but lender specific. But for myself, just the stuff that I've been pricing out this week, if you got a 680 middle score or higher, I'm anywhere between 2 and 2.5% and 2.75%, depending on the time of day and what's going on when you lock.
Say that again, 2.75%.
2.25%, 2.25%.
And that's for the 15-year.
30-year.
2.25% for a 30-year mortgage right now.
2.25%. And again, credit score specific. I locked somebody today. It's not just credit score specific. Let me digress a little bit. There's also loan size that takes into account. Loan to value plays a part, and credit score. So the customer that I'm talking about, and this is a conventional loan, by the way, as well, locked at 2.25%, but pushing 800 credit scores, put 30% down, and so 70% LTV. I locked that person at 2.25% with no points, meaning they didn't have to pay to get that rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's no wonder homes are still selling so fast.
Well, and in my neck in the South, anything under $200,000 is a hot commodity, right? And when I tell you those things are flying off the shelf, man, they're flying off the shelf. So again, there's not a lot of home builders that are building, because when we look at the economics of things, the biggest growth in the home building sector are these mini mansions. and that's the size they have to build to really make a profit. So there's really no profit incentive in the lower price ranges, and so folks are just fighting over, the natural turnover as far as houses are concerned. So prices are up, man. Prices are up.
Okay, all right. Well, my input on that is you need to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
A lot of times I would probably lean towards a 30-year for your first time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you're younger, you haven't hit your upper range of income yet. You may just be having children, and man, when you have children, they throw you for a whole loop. Daycare, is something else. Daycare almost killed me and my wife. So, it could really depend, but I would probably lean. I'm not going to automatically say go to 30, but I would probably lean towards a 30-year.
Yeah, I agree. And again, younger, starting off, perfect. And you always have the option. And this is something people don't realize, because I'm like you, man. I'm the people's champ. I want you to save money. So you can $50 a month.
Right.
600. What is that? $600 a year consistently from day one on a 30-year mortgage. That you're paying that mortgage off probably on 18 to 20-year term. You cut 10 years off, $600.
Right.
So you don't always have to refinance, and you don't always have to have the FOMO that a lot of folks have. When I say 2.25, you got to look at the numbers, you got to look at the costs and things of that nature. So you have to compare apples to apples if you're thinking about a refinance.
Right. And so when he says FOMO, it's fear of missing out, right? So that 2.25, that's super sexy, y'all. That's super sexy.
It is. Now, can I say one other thing too?
Absolutely.
Here coming in 35 some odd days, FHFA is putting a tax, and we've already baked it in the cake, but it's going to be a 0.5 percentage point higher to refinance. And that's just something, the government could do because everybody's out here refinancing. You know what I'm saying? So said all that to say, another thing that I see in our community, you either have the fear of missing out or it's the analysis paralysis, right? And so one thing I want to say to folks, if you're in a situation and it looks good for you, get with whoever your lender is if you're looking to buy or sell, because these rates won't stay as low as they are for as long as they've been. And I would venture to say after this election, things are going to, look a little different, in my opinion.
Right. And so real quick before we move on, right, can you let people know, like, you can get an FHA loan, I believe, for 1, 2, or 3 units, right? Or even 4, I think, sometimes.
1 to 4 residential units. So there's a sufficiency test that has to happen whenever you're buying 3 to 4 units. But a duplex or a 2-family, I think that's what you guys call them, a 2-flat. You can live in one. Duplexes. Yeah, duplex. You can live in one side. Nothing extra. There's no sufficiency. The sufficiency test simply means this: if you're buying a 4-plex, you're living in one of the units as a primary residence. When the appraisal is done, the appraiser is going to give what we call a rent roll for the rents in that area. Let's say the mortgage is $3,000. So whatever the appraiser says that the rents are going for, you multiply times those 3, right? And if whatever that number is, say it's $4,000, we can only take 75% of that. So if the rent roll, 75% of that for the sufficiency test is above what the mortgage would be, you would either need to pay some more money down because it has to be at or beneath the mortgage. So it's just a couple of other steps. But talking about becoming an investor, if you're single, my son did it, at least get a duplex, because it's just like living in an apartment complex. Right. Living it a year, 2 years, refi out of it. Watch this. Refinance out of it, go conventional. And as long as it makes sense and you're moving up, you could get another FHA home if it's within 100 miles, or if it's over 100 miles as far as where that home is at. You don't really need to do those things, but there's different strategies for you to use to be able to get those doors and become investors.
Gotcha. All right. Good stuff. Moving on to that next question. All right. So HSA versus FSA. All right. So HSA stands for Health Savings Account. FSA stands for Flexible Savings Account. So the post said, when you start your job, get an HSA account and not FSA, and get the high deductible, high insurance. It will lower your tax bracket and the money is yours to use. You also earn 40% in most cases after the 10K. So for the record, I don't know what the 10K they're talking about is. I've never seen before. I don't know what the extra 40% is either. Never seen it before, but I actually do have a HSA. Me and my wife have an HSA. We actually have a high deductible plan. High deductible plans ain't no joke. They are no joke. And basically what that means is you have to spend a certain amount of money, a high threshold of money, let's say $5,000 on your medical expenses before your healthcare plan starts to kick in at all. Me personally, I would just like to go in and spend my, $10, $15, $20, whatever the copay is, but that's not our case. But what we do is we put money into an HSA. And so every time we go to the doctor and we do have to pay copay or anything else, we pay it out of the HSA. Or if we want to buy glasses or if we want to get medicine, we get it out of the HSA. But I actually don't like this. So here's the thing. I had to do a little bit of research, right? Because in my experience, I've never seen people with plans who have HSAs or FSAs in order to pick. Most times you don't have the opportunity to pick
option, yeah.
in my experience. However, I did find some that you can pick. For example, my wife works for a major health insurance organization. She cannot pick. All right. But I talked to another friend of mine who works for another major healthcare organization, has worked in healthcare for over 25 years. He can pick, right? Here's the thing. Most lower income people can't really afford the high deductible. It's going to put them in credit card jail or credit jail or debt jail, whatever you want to call it, 9 times out of 10. And it's not going to be a good thing because they just can't simply put the money into the account in that way in order to take care of the bills. And then the insurance isn't going to kick in the way they need it to. And usually only the executives tend to take the high deductible health insurance plan. My wife is a high executive. We just didn't have a choice. That was the only option we had. So, but it can be really, really bad. So again, here's an issue of the social media financial guru striking again, potentially getting people in trouble. And listen, I don't do these to bash, right? And I don't know the originator of this post. I do these to teach, honestly, right? I have a teacher's heart. And so when we're looking at these things and people are putting out there, y'all would not believe how often I get people that either one, see if this is a good idea, or two, do it and not talk to any professionals at all. Robert, do you have an opinion on this or any input?
I do. So in my opinion, again, we have the high deductible. And I wanted to ask you from the tax standpoint, just finished the taxes for this year. And so whenever you have a remaining balance in that HSA, it's a hit as far as the taxes are concerned. I noticed that. So that's something else you need to think about. Number two, I think it's a good thing if my wife and daughter had some major dental stuff a year ago that we knew was going to come online. It's excellent for that, but you want to use all that money because it's pre-tax, right? Yeah. So those are two things that I thought about. And then one other twist, if I may, because everybody talks about credit, right? And you hit a couple of things. I see a lot of people with medical collections, and the reason being is they're not covering their deductible.
Right.
Okay. And so I know it sounds crazy, but I see it a lot. And so you're getting these medical collections. They're like, I'm going to the doctor, I'm paying my copay, but you have to remember, if you don't meet that annual deduction, from whatever that is, that medical provider is going to submit to the insurance and whatever the difference is. And a lot of times this is what's popping up on the credit, lowering credit scores. Last thing I will say is this: you do not have to give the doctor, the dentist, or anybody else your social security number. If you don't believe me, ask. And I know there might be some isolated cases where you have to, but stop giving that social security number away so easily, because that's what they're using to put on your credit.
So what would you do when they ask if you don't want to give them, when they want something?
I stopped doing it, man, and it blew my mind. They don't even ask. They don't ask. So when you go into the dentist or whatever, they give you the little pad to fill out. I just don't put it in there, and they don't ask. Try it.
Okay.
Let me know.
That's a good gem. That's a great gem. Thank you for that. All right, so let's move on. let's move on to the next one. All right. So we just hit FHA, HSA. All right. Here's another one. New car versus old car. I'm going to let you go first on this one, Robert. What do you think?
I think that's good, man. Let somebody else get that depreciation. And, most of you guys are flying sexy. I can see in the comment section. Nobody's got to know if it's not new once you get into it. I think that's a very good strategy. And that's something I've always done. And I take that back. Just bought my wife, man, a new car this year, but she deserves it. But you know what? She going to hold that thing till the wheels fall off if I know my wife. So, but I agree, especially young folks. Watch this. Coming out of school, and I'm going to give it back to you. You got this student loan that you have to deal with. The next thing you do is get that car. And that is just, I'm seeing some of these car payments, man. Some of these cars are 70, 80, 90. And I'm talking about not foreigns, just regular cars.
Yep.
And get that house, man. Don't hold off on the whip. Hold off on the whip.
So I'll say this, right? I understand the math behind this. And the math can make sense, but it also depends on the person. So I have one client, matter of fact, that wants a new car almost every 3 years. So I don't tell him to buy new or old. I tell him to lease. Especially my business clients, I tell them to lease. You tend, not always, but you tend to get better tax favorance or treatment when you lease versus own. But again, it's a depreciating asset. Now, I will say this. A couple of years ago, my wife got a brand new car because we bought later in the year, and there were so many incentives that we would wind up spending more on the used car than the new car. But yeah, so in theory, I don't have a problem with this one, but I will say case by case basis, you really got to check. Really got to check. So I don't know. What do y'all think with that one? Y'all supposed to be checking in. Y'all think buying a new car is good? Buying an old car is good? Lease is good? What do y'all think? You tell me. You check in the comments with us. But I do see a lot of students though, or graduates that will come out, spend a whole bunch of money on a brand new car, and they're basically mortgaging their future away, and they don't even realize it.
That's the mortgage. That's the house payment.
Yeah, and oftentimes they're not established. They're not even established enough to know that they're going to be secure with a job or in their business, and they go get this car, and then 8 months later, 9 months later, 18 months later, they done lost their job, and the car gets repossessed. So you really got to be careful, and so then that's a ding on your credit, right, Robert?
Yeah, we back to the credit, and you know what? Medical collections. You know what the second highest thing that I see is? Car repossessions.
Wow. Yeah, I can believe it. I definitely can believe it. All right, so here's the next question. Now, y'all been rocking with me for a while. It says, get an LLC, elect S Corp status, get you an LLC, incorporating your name, run it as an S Corp. Remember Jay-Z's quote, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. Let that sink in. So it seems like the whole world wants to become LLCs or some type of corporation for one reason or another. Don't know why. There's a lot of misinformation floating around out there. I said I was going to do a class on this. Actually, I think I still.
We need that class, man.
I need to do a class on that.
Yes, sir.
So I'll say this: you don't need an LLC to do business. All right. And matter of fact, let me pull this back up just so I don't misquote anything, right? And so incorporating your name. So they say get an LLC and incorporating your name. But where's the actual business? What is the actual business? I see these all the time, and I'm wondering, what's the business? What are they going to do? How are they going to generate money? And they're just blindly saying, get an LLC. But here's the thing, right? And when I look at this thing, I'll be honest, and I'll save some of this, right? There's some truth, right? There's about an ounce of truth, and there's about a gallon of BS that's mixed in with this.
Yeah.
But this can be really dangerous because when you get LLCs, depending on where you get them at, remember, LLCs are really entities of the state. The IRS really doesn't care about LLCs for the most part. People don't realize that.
Wow.
But when you register your LLC, depending upon what state you're on, if you don't have a business, if you don't have a revenue model, if you don't have a way of generating money in that business, they will still tax you. They call it an annual registration fee. Some people call it a franchise fee or franchise tax. California is like $800. So if you made zero in California, you have a business in California, you're operating in California, you still will have to pay $800 to the state of California to continue to do business. If you are in Maryland and you didn't make any money, nothing, zilch, nada, zero, you have to pay them $300 for an annual payment. I want to say Massachusetts is either 800 or 5. It's New York and Massachusetts. Either one of the others $800, the other is 500. I always forget, but that's still high if you haven't made any money. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
I have a question.
Yep.
So I hear what you're saying. Everybody's putting the cart before the horse, right?
Yes.
So what say you're more of the expert here. My understanding of the LLCs and things of that nature, when I'm trying to protect something, where do I need to go? Everybody seems to talk about real estate. How much do I need to have before I need to start worrying about being sued and being protected and things of that nature? Does that make sense?
I think it really depends. So if you have an LLC, right? Let's break down what an LLC is. If you're just a regular person like you and I, the LLC is a designation. It's an entity that's based on the state that you're in. Mm-hmm. And so that state is going to allow you to form that entity. And yes, it will give you some liability protection. Actually, me and Courtney talked about this on Saturday. Courtney is a tax attorney. And we were talking about liability protection because there are some times when you could possibly do what's called pierce the veil. Okay. Basically make your LLC just like you and it has no liability protection. And you get that way by commingling funds.
Funds.
You got it. Commingling funds and just doing things that are out of whack and not having good business practices. And I can't tell you how many people I've run across who have terrible books. So, again, what's the business, right? We don't know, but neither do they. A lot of times they put this stuff out because it sounds sexy. Again, social media has become the new place to sell LLCs. And again, LLCs have their place, right? But remember this, you don't have to be an LLC to get tax benefits. That's the other way they sell it. They say, in order to get all the tax benefits, you need to be an LLC. An LLC gets the same tax benefits as I, Kamari Ellis, would get in starting my own business as a sole proprietor, right? It's regular. If I wanted to go out in the corner and sell water, I would get the same tax breaks if I sold water as Kamari Ellis, LLC, or Kamari the Waterman, LLC. Or excuse me, as Kamari Ellis, sole proprietor, right? I get the same tax breaks, or as if I am Kamari Ellis, the Waterman, LLC. Same tax breaks. So,
Joey's asking about Philly, man, PA, in the LLC.
I want to say, I don't think PA has one. I haven't seen one. It might be $50. I know $50 is floating around in my mind. And the other thing you can do before you get it, right? If we're talking about liability protection, you can get insurance on whatever it is. Now, people go out and get insurance sometimes and they don't let the insurance company know what they're doing. That can void your contract. That can leave you up the river without a paddle, right? But if you do it right and you get the proper coverage and you disclose everything that you're doing, then yeah, you should be good. But a whole lot goes into that. So again, people are making these absolute statements online just to sell you something, and they're not really giving you the real deal. And all the while, people are really getting hurt by this. And so I get a little ticked off because I see this because I know somebody's going to call me with one or two things. Kamari, should I do this? All right, give me the story. How much money you got? Right? What are you doing? Or they'll do it before talking to me or another professional, and they wind up paying the penalty for that. Paying the consequences, right?
Come back after the fact and want you to save them, right?
Right? Yeah. So I don't want a Monday morning quarterback this thing. That's why I do the content. It's more of education because, especially in our community, man, we see a lot of scams. We see a lot of people hurt. We see a lot of institutional abuse, and we don't need to further abuse ourselves, right? Intentionally or unintentionally. So we need to try to gather as much of our coins, squirrel them away, and put them towards things that will put us in a better position. So I'm gonna pause real quick before we go to the next question. Just want to check in with everybody, real quick. Where we at? Oh, we got a bunch of people on today.
Yeah, they chiming in.
Nas, the gig accountant. How are you, sir? I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Welcome. Okay, Jody says HSAs and FSAs are foreign to me. Well, I just broke them down, Jody. Hopefully you know now. All right. Latoya says this is great information. Thank you, man. Thank you. All right. So Tiffany says my job gives us both options of the HSA and FSA. The HSA is better as it rolls over, right? So if you don't use all the money in your HSA, it rolls over every year. Mm-hmm. If you don't use all the money in your FSA, you lose it. The right. FSA typically is better for the employer. The HSA is typically better for the employee.
Great point.
And you can keep after you leave a company. Yeah, FSA you have to use and you can't take with you. Yep. Wayne Terry says my job only offers FSA and I use it for healthcare and dependent care. Work good for me. Yeah. I mean, you got to use them all. Whatever you got, you use it to the best of your ability. Yes. Don't give your social security number. Okay, I'm still driving my 2006 Pontiac Torrent. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. That I brought brand new off the lot. I'm driving that bad boy until I have to use my feet to brake like Fred Flintstone.
I bet you she has an 800 credit score.
Yabba dabba do. Hey, Adrian, how you doing? I didn't see you sneak in the room. Welcome. Yeah, buy a 3-year-old of lease car. Yeah, that's also possible too, Nas. I hope I'm saying it. Is it Nas? Naz? I don't like messing up people's names.
I would say Nas.
Yeah. I don't point about. Yeah, sometimes it is. It really, again, it really depends. I think use is good if it's maintained. Yeah, it can be. It absolutely can be. Mars Hermie says buying a used car is much better if you can buy it in cash. Sometimes it all depends on what your goal is, right? Let's say you want to buy a car brand new for $20,000, but you also have an opportunity to say buy a rental property and you need $20,000 to put down. What's the better use of cash? Now, that's a trick question. You might be buying a truck and it's for your business. So in that case, the better use of cash would probably be the truck for your business because that's how you make your money. However, if you work a 9-to-5 job and you are looking to become an investor or get more real estate, either way, the real estate might be better. So, again, it's case by case, but I wanted to go through some of these because nobody ever goes through any of these. They kind of give you the bare bone minimum things and they present it like, oh God, this is the best thing since the coming of Black baby Jesus. And it's a lot of times it's not.
Opportunity cost. Yeah.
Because they're taking advantage of, lack of financial literacy. Yes. And in our community, listen, I'm gonna keep it real. A lot of times we only get introduced to financial topics when somebody is selling us something. So all the times in other communities that are better off than us, they are introduced to these topics, concepts, and strategies in their childhood. Oftentimes we are first seeing a lot of these things when we're in our 20s, when we start making some money. And we don't have any accumulated knowledge. A lot of times we don't have anybody to turn to. So, I always think it's good to, let's get more educated so we can make informed decisions. Hey, Tara, how you doing? Certified old. I ain't mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Teaser, certified used. Yep. I ain't mad at that either. More expensive the car, the better is to get it used by a few years. Yeah, typically it is. I never buy a new car again, no more than 5 years old.
It's a consensus, man. Everybody on it.
Yeah, I get it. Car fever can get you in a death trap. Oh, absolutely. I love that comment, Dwayne. You need to do the class. All right, Miss Tiffany, I'm going to do the class. I got a couple classes in the banks here. Right. Real estate before the car. No doubt.
That's a bar.
Real estate before the car. Yeah, it even rhymes.
Yeah.
I think I answered that question already, Jody. Depends on your service or product of liability. Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. Yeah.
And no, she's talking about insurance as well.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Mara says I use LLC and trust. Never thought of incorporating my name. It seems it doesn't make any sense when an LLC run correctly can help prevent what is called a few charring order. I'm not sure what a charring order is. What's a charring order, Mars?
Never heard that term either.
If you file a corporation, you need to run it like a corporate. Yes, absolutely. Yes, indeed. She said, yes, Lord. All right, so we got a few more of these. We got a few more coming down the pike. I was first introduced to credit cards in college. Yes, they get you in college and was so easy to get. Now, I want to share something with y'all, right? They say the human brain does not fully form until around the age of 27 or 28.
Thought it was 25. Yeah.
So, all right, well, we can go 25, 27, 28, like somewhere north of your typical college graduation age. Typical college graduation age is anywhere, let's say, from 21 to 25 or 24, typically, right? Who better to sell debt products to? Who better to sell slavery products to? I mean, when you look at it, consumer debt right now is at like $14 trillion. And again, that's the other one you see. We see these massive promotions of credit. But you know what? I don't want to step on the other questions. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So here's the next one. The old business credit. The loans are bigger and the interest rates are lower, right? So have you seen this at all, Robert?
Man, that's the new hustle. We've gone from credit repair to business credit, it seems like, in my opinion.
So I want to put this out there for the record. This is Kamari saying this, right? I say this all the time. Cash will always be king in all finances. Credit will be queen. Cash is king, credit is queen. Together, used properly, they make a mighty empire. Again, cash is king, credit is queen. If you don't have cash and cash flow to pay for the credit, your credit score is going to drop. So it doesn't matter how much credit you have if you cannot maintain that credit. What's it for? I've seen several people refinance their homes and their rental properties to pay down their debt only to run the debt right back up. It happens all the time, y'all. And so there are some psychological things that you really have to think about. One, when you get large sums or large lump sums of money. And two, you got to think about why you're spending so much, right? Because many times we get promoted to, marketed to, advertised to all day long. Back in the 70s, I want to say 73, the average American would only see about 500 ad impressions or commercials a day. And that's radio, television, billboard, whatever you may have. Today, they say it's 5,000.
Wow.
So the competition for getting in your wallet, getting in your pocketbook, it's hot and heavy. And so you have to be aware of that. That's one of the reasons why, again, I call myself the finance rebel, because 70% of the U.S. economy is run on what? Consumer spending.
Yep.
If you want to be different, if you want to amass wealth, you can't be average. You have to do things that other people are not doing. One of those is actually controlling your spending. So you can have the money that you were going to spend to invest. So until you're able to do that, you're not really serious about building wealth. Yes,
Can
sir.
I chime in?
Oh, stop asking.
This is real.
Is that the church finger?
Yeah, that's what I learned when I
old man that walked through church with his finger
when
up.
my mama told me to go to the bathroom, like throw up the finger. So I literally had somebody who shall remain nameless, but they're paying somebody right now a lot of money to go through a mastermind. And this person told them, okay, here's the deal. You get all these people into credit repair. And then from there, the treadmill is, the next thing is the business credit. Because the larger the amount you qualify for the business credit, you can hit them for, you can knock them for 5, 10, 15% of that approval amount. But again, like you said, what's the business?
Right.
What's the reason for the debt? I like what you said. Cash is king, credit is queen, but you got to have a product to sell or service. What do you need all this credit for?
Right. And so listen, business credit is good. I've had a client in the past that got over $2 million in credit. And they were relatively new, less than 2 years in the business, but they had good personal credit and they had a business that generated north of $1 million in revenue yearly. So again, Robert just said it, what I just said. What's the business behind it? And this is all part of one post, y'all. So if you back up and you go to when he said the LLC, there was no mention of a product or service. There was no mention of working on your craft. There's no mention of mastery. It's just boom, do these things and you're great. And again, I can't tell you how many times people actually do these things and they get jammed up. They never reach greatness. So,
I'm just asking rhetorical questions. I know this, but I have to give a personal guarantee anyway.
So 9 times out of 10, you have to give a personal guarantee. A lot of these folks are starting to say you can do it without a personal guarantee. Now, I've worked with a lot of millionaires. I haven't worked with any billionaires yet. I've worked at some billionaire institutions, but I don't know one millionaire who's not had to give a personal guarantee. Not one. Not one. So you still need your personal credit, right? People sometimes think I'm dogging credit, right? I'm really dogging the sales tactics that are being used to promote credit repair and things like that. And listen, you can do a quick Google search and you just Google credit repair lawsuits and you'll see where a lot of this angst comes from. So it's rough. It's really rough. So let's check in with a few more. Interest rate lower is a lie. Yeah. Sometimes Latoya, the business interest rates are actually higher. The financial quagmire.
That's a good one.
Business lines of credit on average is 8 to 10.
There you go.
It's a bigger risk, right? Because it's a bigger risk because the business could potentially go out of business.
Yeah.
Wayne Terry Jr. comes through again. Wayne be dropping jewels on us, y'all.
Yeah.
What happened to saving money? They're making moves. Microwave success, I want no part of it. So yeah, that's why I always say get rich slow. Not to say that you can't speed up when opportunities arrive, but you got to have a foundation. All right, so saving $1 million and borrowing $1 million, 2 different things. Yep, I agree. Preach. I think that was for you, Robert. Okay, Latoya says she operates 100% cash flow. Smart lady. After you get the first 100K, savings, investments begin to snowball. It's substantial enough for investment returns to be impactful. Next 100K is way easier. I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I would say you don't have to wait to start investing until you get the 100K, but I totally agree with you.
But there is a snowball effect once you get that momentum.
Listen, there's definitely a snowball effect. I mean, what he said is all facts.
Yes, sir.
One really can repair their own credit.
Amen. Preach. Gratis, for free.
You are not financing a $20 million real estate investment without cash. I would agree. Well, what they usually do when we're looking at the commercial, especially for the developers, they make sure you got skin in the game, either 20, 25%, sometimes 30%. And a lot of times the developers will figure that out through land acquisition. They might do some beginning work on the project, like maybe they lay the foundation or they clear it or they do other things. When I say clear, like it might have trees and debris,
right?
Things like that, right? So, absolutely. There's definitely skin in the game. Nobody is just rolling around getting money for free. So, again, I'm just sharing, y'all. I'm just sharing and giving y'all my thoughts, my commentary. Sharing, Robert's giving y'all thoughts and y'all commentary. If you're enjoying this, again, this is Wealthy Wednesdays. I know we haven't gotten to the questions yet. Start throwing your questions in the chat. Robert, I don't know how long you can hang. I don't want to infringe upon your time because we already an hour in. I thought we was going to be about 20 minutes going through this.
I got a permission slip to stay up late, so I'm good.
Oh, okay. All right. That was nice. All right. So the next one was get a business bank account. Get a business bank account. In most cases, the cost $500 to start. So they're saying the minimum deposit is about $500. Some people got 2 stimulus checks, one from Trump, one from the SBA. Also no fees. So this one really grinds my gears because Trump didn't give any stimulus checks, y'all. The Congress did. He signed the final bill, but it's a whole process. Right? And I'm going to tell y'all something. There are some people that have multiple businesses. There are some people that have multiple business accounts, right? I'm going to tell you a large portion of these people that got multiple stimulus checks, though, a lot of them did fraud. A lot of them. Not all, but a lot. Most people can't handle one business, let alone 2. So, and then for them to qualify for PPP, uh, again, this is really bad information, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think it's really bad information. Um, Actually, some of the PPP money and some of the EIDL, the economic injury disaster loans that came out again through the SBA, PPP came to the SBA as well. Some of those could go to a personal account if you're a sole proprietor. So if you're making the case just to have a business account, excuse me, just to get this stimulus check, I don't know. I wouldn't do that just for a stimulus check. Now, I encourage a lot of people. Actually, had to fight with a lot of people to apply for PPP and EIDL because a lot of people are afraid of the government, two, of debt. But when used properly, again, it can be a mighty thing.
Amen.
And it could really help propel yourself to the next level in terms of business.
And they have time. Don't they have time? Gonna start seeing a lot of these cases pop up. So
they already popping up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a lot more.
It seems like the trend is people like to buy Lambos. I don't know why.
I don't get it, man.
I don't know why, but people like to pay Lambos, and it seems like they pay. And everybody that I've seen, they pay more for the Lambo than what they pay in their child support.
They jump on social media. You know, crazy.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Me,
I can't call it. All right, so here's another one. Community college versus university. So go to a community college first and transfer into a 4-year college unless you have scholarships to help mitigate the cost as a junior. School is a power move. You might be able to secure the bag. Majors in STEM will always be needed, are in high demand, and the skills can directly help the Black community. So, I mean, this one is loaded, in my opinion. There's a lot, and actually a lot of these are loaded, right? Because if you see what the person's doing, they're taking some old school, quote unquote, knowledge or old school financial rules that a lot of people follow. But a lot of things I would say have changed to a certain degree, right? I know for a fact, just by talking to, I talked to a PhD candidate that was writing a dissertation on this whole phenomenon of college or junior college versus university. Now, for the record, I am a product of Community College of Philadelphia, CCP. I oftentimes overlook them because people ask me where you went to school. You always say, where'd you graduate from? And that was Temple University. I graduated from Temple University. I could have went anywhere, but I chose to go to Temple, if y'all remember that commercial. And I appreciate my journey at community college. That was what really got me together to be able to go to Temple when I got serious about school. So there's two things I'll say about this. Everybody shouldn't go to college right away after high school, in my opinion. I didn't. And I tend to be the star of my class. And I don't say that braggingly. I said it because I sat at the front of the class. I studied a lot, and I always raised my hand and I asked questions. So I made the teachers recognize me, where a lot of the younger kids were sitting in the back of the class, just kind of passing the time. So they weren't really there to take full advantage of the opportunity. Me, I was like, listen, I'm paying for this. I got student loans. I'm getting every nook and cranny out of this education, out of this schooling that I can get. So when I really got serious, I loved college. I would go back to college today if I could. If I could find somebody to pay for my college, maybe law school or MBA, I would go in a heartbeat. If any of y'all want to donate to the Kamari Ellis graduate school fund, just let me know. But in all seriousness, right? The lady that I met that was studying this said that you lose a lot of your competitiveness with the universities if you don't apply for your first year, because universities typically don't compete in their second and third year when you're transferring over. Now, that could matter if you're going for something, a school that has a very specialized field where you're trying to do something very specialized. Some cases it may not, right? If a person is still kind of getting their feet around them, still trying to get their foundation going, community college may actually be best. Community college is going to be lower and cheaper 9 times out of 10. So you do get to save, some money by doing that crossover. But this one, I think I'll say this. I think us as a community need to do more for the children in community college than those in university. Because oftentimes they do get looked over. But so it all depends. What do you think, Robert? I know you got thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's back to, you got to get out of your feelings, and this is a business, man. So you're the CEO, that young person, and a lot goes to, like you said earlier, about the lack of financial literacy that you get at the home, especially in our community. So I feel the same way when it comes to college. At the end of the day, after you get that degree, and again, it just depends on what you're going to school for, but you have to look at, do they want me? Am I getting scholarships? For the masses, depending on the degree type. If you go to Burnuk State or the Great Temple University, when you graduate, if I'm gonna get the same job and we have the same degree and you're paying $200,000 and I only paid $40,000, I want. So
I'm gonna tell you, and I'm the weird one out of this, right? Mm-hmm. My buddy Darren that's in here, he calls me eclectic. He really wants to call me weird. And it's all good, right? But I don't think college is for getting a job, right?
Okay. What is it for?
College is really at the root of it is really for refining your mind, refining your thought process. It's hard. It's hard to really refine your thought process by yourself. Mm-hmm. And as it stands, right, over time, I'm talking thousands of years back to Timbuktu. Mm-hmm. We had these universities of higher learning to refine our thoughts so we can think at a higher level. And so we're not thinking at a higher level to go find a great job. And listen, this is not job shaming, right? I'm just talking mm-hmm. about it. Mm-hmm. This is, to me, college is about refining your thinking so you can go do your purpose at your very best. Now, again, I know that's probably a little woo-woo for some folks, right?
I don't have a problem with that if you didn't have to pay for it. So,
free, right?
Yeah. So if we could go and chill and find ourselves for free, let's do it. But last I checked, you got to pay, man. So I'm just a little,
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Mm-hmm. Checking with LaToya. Would you rather have 800 credit score or $100,000? I'll take the $100,000. So that's another joke that rolls around. Well, not joke. It's actually a question. A lot of people actually pick the 800 credit score. Where actually a lot of times people with credit scores wind up getting jacked up because they don't have enough cash. But, that wasn't the question, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. So Miss Edith says, yes, Miss Jody, I agree. I did it. It's amazing how many people are credit repairs. Yep. So, all right, so LaToya says she turned down her loan. Why, LaToya? That could have took you up 10 levels. Got a great business. LaToya is my tax sister down in the state of Texas.
Toya smart. Yeah. Nothing's free.
Yeah, I mean, again, but here's the thing about all this, right? It's about self-awareness. And so if you know you don't do good with debt, or if debt keeps you up at night, then yeah, don't get it.
Right.
I'm totally cool with that. It's like a lot of times people had a discussion about paying the home off. I get asked this question a lot by clients and just random people who are in the audience. Should I pay my home off? Yes or no? It depends. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some tax benefits of having a home. But man, when you look at it, there's a whole lot of mental benefits of being debt free as well. That's so, you got to weigh what's important to you. You got to weigh what's important to you.
Agreed.
All right. So next statement. Homecoming classes. Get with your peers from your graduating class and others together at homecoming on one day for 2 hours to plot, strategize how we can move our communities forward. Commerce, politics, education, small business, real estate, etc. I really don't have a problem with this, and I guess it would be great as a jump off. But I think you should be doing more of that, right? So that's just networking.
Yeah,
and networking is a part of everything we do. I mean, we're actually networking now. All of the folks that are in the comments of networking, you'd be surprised. Some of the folks have actually become friends, or at least Facebook friends, and IG friends and Twitter friends. Through some of these interactions. So yeah, that's great. That's good. But I guess I just have a problem because homecoming is usually
yeah, that's the last place.
What's that?
I said that's probably the last place you're gonna do something like that, you
I
know?
will say this. I do have some friends, right,
Yeah.
that go to HBCUs. Everybody knows I'm an HBCU wannabe. But folks that go to the real HU, right? So that's Hampton or Howard, depending on which one you're talking about. I ain't got time for the fight tonight. But but a lot of them, they'll go down to homecoming and they'll rent homes and they'll stay with their close buddies for the weekend or for a week, and they'll use it as a mini vacation. And some business gets done, some networking gets done, some fellowship gets done. And so again, it's cool. Just don't do it for that one weekend. That's all I got to say about that one.
And the only thing I would say to that is that's great. I'm with you, but make sure charity and all that stuff begins at home. So make sure you're doing it at home first. Yeah.
Expound on that when you say make sure you're doing it at home.
Well, I mean, there's like you're saying, everybody wants to be out in public, but everything starts at home. So, if I'm about that life at home and I'm exemplifying all those things that comment was talking about, well then the next step is out in the community. But if you can't do those things at home with your family and things and you don't have that together, then you don't need to be out, trying to get anybody else together. In my opinion, it starts at home.
Okay. All right. I got you. All right, next one. Whole life versus term life insurance. If you, you know what, I messed this one up. Let me see if I can. Let's see. All right, here we go. Whole life versus term life. Get life insurance for you, whole life, and your children as soon as they are born. One thing is for sure, we will die. Might as well leave your kids or family something extra. The sooner you get it, the cheaper it is. And you can borrow against it to fund certain projects. Also, the one that pays out dividends are the best. They normally are associated with the market, money market accounts. IULs are great. Yeah, I got a big problem with this one. So from the gate, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So from the very gate, first sentence, it says life insurance. So you know what? I probably should preface this by types of life insurance just so everybody can have a clear understanding of where we're going. So there's basically 4 basic types of life insurance. You got term, which is the cheapest. It's like the Ford, right? When you give it a comparison or something. It does not generate or accumulate a cash value. It does not create a cash value. At the other end of the spectrum, you have whole life. It's the most expensive. It's the Mercedes. It's the Cadillac. It's the creme de la creme. It generates a cash value. It's also, again, the most expensive. All right. In between term and whole, you have 2 different ones. You have that IUL that you talked about, the index universal life, and that does generate a cash value, usually based on interest rates in the money markets. And then you have what's called a VUL, or a variable universal life policy, where again you can generate cash value, and your money, typically the money that's being accumulated and that cash value is based off of the stock market. So there's different funds you can pick. All right. So here it says, get life insurance for you, whole life, and get your children term. I wouldn't get my child a term life policy.
Get whole.
Right. I would get them a whole life policy 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So again, when people put these things out on social media, they kind of mix and match. They give you a little bit of truth, like the dude in the White House right now. They give you a little bit of truth and they give you a whole gallon of BS. And so, yes, life insurance is very important. The younger you get it, the cheaper it's going to be in terms of the cost. That's very important. But if you get your child term, it's going to expire. I have no idea what I've never even seen that done before. And people have brought a bunch of life insurance from me over the years. I'm no longer an agent. I don't do it anymore because underwriting kills me. But I'm very well versed in it. So I don't get the rationale behind that. And I don't want to try to assassinate the person. I believe they're good meaning. But sometimes everybody shouldn't talk about everything. So right. I rarely talk about credit because I don't do credit. I only talk about things that I do or have done in some type of capacity. So for example, I've changed the oil in my car. You'll never see me on here talking about changing the oil in my car because I ain't did it that much. I can't say I'm a master. So I stay in my lane. I stick to what I do. All right. So you typically want your child to have a cash value policy. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have as many underwriting problems as you would when you become an adult, because there's less of a chance for you to develop health issues. All right, that's one. Two, these policies, again, a whole life policy is what I would give for a child. They have the ability to accumulate a cash value, and they have an ability to accumulate a cash value over a longer period of time. Plus, you're not paying any tax on the money that's inside the life insurance policy. So it's very much like a Roth IRA, so to speak. It grows tax-free, and there are ways to pull it out tax-free if you know what you're doing. But again, you should have some experience with it and just not be out here trying to sell it. All right. And so, but yes, we do need life insurance. You know, I talked about it at the top of the show. Only 46% of Americans don't have life insurance, or either undercoverage.
Wow.
Undercovered. And so as you extrapolate that out to the Black community, I'm sure that's probably much higher. As much as you see these GoFundMes.
Yeah.
To disparage.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to disparage any GoFundMes, right?
Yeah.
Because you never know the situation of a person. And that's not why I'm here. I don't get off on talking bad about folks.
Right.
Some people can't get the coverage because their health is jacked up and they just didn't know. And things happen like that at times, you know. So it's sad. It's sad. But if you have the power to get your own policy, you can do that. Other thing I always tell folks is if you have a job at 9 to 5, buy as much life insurance under your job as possible, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper. So, you know, you got to think about all those things, but I definitely wouldn't do that. And then at the end, they said also the one that pays out dividends. IULs don't pay out dividends. Whole life policies pay out dividends. I've never seen an IUL pay out dividends. Now, I will say this. In my opinion, I just want to put this on the table. Life insurance is probably the greatest financial product ever created because of the leverage you get.
Gotcha.
You can spend $20 on $1 million policy, and that's just a hypothetical, y'all. Don't quote me on that. But you can spend $20 on a policy. You get the policy, you pay your benefit, the contract's in place. If for some reason God chooses to strike you for lying with lightning, life insurance is going to pay. But you know what? I need to double check that, because there might be an act of God clause in there. But let's say they get into a car accident.
Yeah, they got the clauses.
Yeah. Let me say they get into a car accident the same day, right? And they pass. They're going to pay. Now, life insurance, they do their due diligence. They want to make sure everything went by the book. They're not just going to pay just for the sake of paying. Nope. They are here to make profit, right? Be clear. So yes, they go through their process to make sure that everything was cool and copacetic when the death passed, no clauses were broken, and 9 times out of 10, you're good. Life insurance is probably one of the greatest wealth transfer tools, again, created as well. When we talk about all these great wealthy families, like everybody else to talk about the wealthy and doing what the wealthy do, right? You need 7 streams of income to be like the wealthy. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you got to start with one first. But guess what all these wealthy families have? They have life insurance. They have a cash value life insurance.
Gonna die.
It's owned by a trust or, you know, family office or something like that. But again, you know, the IUL, it depends, right? I always tell folks there's no such thing as a bad financial product. It's just bad financial strategy. And so you don't know what product is good for a person until you really talk to them, sit down with them, and evaluate them. So I wouldn't say IULs are the best life insurance product. And if you go back in the history, right, I'm nerding out a little bit. There's a bunch of doctors that brought IUL contracts back in the 80s when interest rates were super duper high. Guess what? Interest rate fell. Those contracts blew up. And so there's planning, there's technique, there's strategy you have to employ in your life insurance purchases as well. So it's not just this cavalier thing you got to go into.
And what I'm hearing you say in all of these topics, and I think this is very important, and you say it a lot, and this is how I'll express what I'm trying to say is there's no easy button. You have to be involved in all of these things. You have to stay engaged, and you know, you got to do the work, man. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. So, you know, I think that's a key point with all the stuff that we're talking about, because people tend to get got because they think there's an easy button. There's not. You got to do some work.
Right. Right. All right. So I think this is the next and very last one. So cooperative economics, get the people in your immediate family to save collectively. If 10 people save $500, that's $60K a year. You could buy 3 starter homes every year, and in 4 years, all 10 of you are homeowners. Buy on the same block or neighborhood if you can. This way you control the value of the homes. Remember, monopoly. We need to promote financial literacy, building capital, and creating equity to create generational wealth. Having financial freedom is everything. This is not being taught in school curriculums or our educational systems. We must do it ourselves. I have so much to say about this one. So I like the overall premise. I've actually participated in some things like this over the years. But I wanna work backwards on this one. So you hear a lot of black folks always complaining about the system and how the system is rigged for you. But here, they're kind of complaining about financial education is not being taught in schools. Personally, I don't want financial education being taught in schools because here's the other thing. If y'all know me, y'all been watching me for a while, you've been rocking me for a while, y'all know I hate the term financial literacy. One, it was used as a tactic for credit card companies to make the credit card companies look like the good guys. I'll just say that, right? And so this is that free turkey dinner that drug dealers give out during the holidays every year. That's the hook, right? Yeah, the Nino Brown, y'all. So that's part of the reason why I don't like the term. I know I'm being literal. I know I'm, too many idiosyncrasies, but I say we need higher financial education. We need to achieve financial mastery. Again, it's my hang up. I know it's popular, but again, at just about every financial literacy course I see, it's super geared towards consumerism. And so again, if we know consumerism is a trap 9 times out of 10, we know credit is a trap, or at least unresponsible, immature credit is a trap. Those are the things they're teaching a lot of times in these financial literacy classes. And so, okay, great. We're going to learn how to write a checkbook to do what? So we can get better credit to do what? To buy a car, to do what? To buy a home. And listen, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, but taken out of context and used for more materialistic purposes like we see now, it tends to be bad. Again, that's why most people are broke and most people have debt of the yin yang. Again, $14 trillion in consumer debt. $14 trillion in consumer debt. Most people don't have the emotional fortitude to deal with a credit card. A lot of times you see people get these credit cards and they think it's like money or it's like manna falling from heaven and God just bestowed it upon you and said, you be blessed and you go spend and you be lit and you live your life YOLO. So, I mean, when you have all these things, all these competing things, sometimes it's better to say no. And that's one of the reasons why I love LaToya's comment, even though I was like, she should take it. But again, what was great, what was more important than her taking it was her self-awareness. Most people don't have self-awareness. Most people aren't in touch with who they are. Most people don't know who they are. But what do you think about that, Robert? What do you think about this concept?
Man, you hit it on the head. I don't want to reiterate what you said, but again, what's the purpose behind what you're doing? Right. Number 2, we have to learn how to assess risk and consider the cost. Lastly, you're not producing anything. What's the product? What are you selling? So again, all of these marketing terms that these folks create to put you deeper into bondage. I think Darren mentioned something earlier. It starts in the 4 walls of your home, man. And we gotta, we have to break these things down. And it's simple. It's really simple. The borrower serving to the lender, and your word is bond. A lot of us, right. Got to get those. You get those 2 things down, you're pretty good, man.
Right. Now, I will say this for the record, right? I love the idea of cooperative economics. Mm-hmm. Right. I say this all the time. The idea of rugged American individualism is a lie. Right. They say you can have the American dream, you can be rich, you can have the white picket fence, but they never kind of talk about the back end. Right. So when you think about cooperative economics, everybody thinks of Kwanzaa usually, right? They say, oh, what's this super black term that these folks are using? But cooperative economics is just putting their money together to do projects or developments. When you think of a bank is a form of cooperative economics. You get your depositors together and you're all putting money in Typically, what banks do is they give loans. That's a very vital function. There's a reason why there's only 23 Black-owned banks across the nation. There's a reason why those 23 Black-owned banks only have roughly, I want to say it's less than $5 billion.
Yeah,
it's less than $5 billion in deposits.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason for that. And there's a reason why we see a lot of the blight in our community continue to proliferate because there's not enough access to capital and there's not enough capital circulating in Black communities to service that and to service a lot of bigger projects, right? But I love the idea of putting $500 away or $50 away or $100 away amongst you and your family or amongst you and your friends. You got to be able to trust them now, right? Some people might skate off with the bag. A lot of people have been asking me questions about this daggone flower fake susu because it's not a real susu. And a lot of times people are doing it with people that they don't know.
Right.
They're doing it with people they don't know. The money's not going into the bank, right? So it's got all the classic markings of a Bernie Madoff situation.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think, put money aside to fund businesses, right? We always kind of default to home and home ownership. Rob, I know you love that, but there's some other things that I think is important. Business ownership is important. Business funding. The cost of college has skyrocketed immensely over the last 20 years. And we now have this whole no college movement going on, right? Because of the cost. Well, what would happen if, I don't know, Miss Sally, who's known all the kids, watched all the kids, beat on all the kids at some point, but loved on all the kids. You say, you know what, everybody, let's put together $10 a month. And we're going to put this money up. We're going to put it in the bank. And everybody trusts Miss Sally, right? Trust is a key factor here. Miss Sally's solid. And we all put the money together. And when Tamika or when Aisha or when Stephanie or James or Todd or Daryl go to college, and these are the bright ones, these are the ones that need help, we help assist them with their college. I don't see enough of that being talked about. We're always complaining about the system and the man, but what are we doing as well?
Right.
And we can talk about the system and the man. I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day, if you are saying you're in an oppressed system and the system is treating you poorly, what are you going to do about it? Because the system don't care about you at the end of the day. That's part of the reason why I don't want financial literacy taught to Black children in Black communities, because all they're going to do is teach them to spend, right? If you really think about this, right, every government program is always geared towards making U.S. economy better. Great example of this is the U.S. tax code. U.S. tax code incentivizes people for what works for the U.S. economy.
Right.
One of the reasons why real estate has been such a popular investment, because it's probably the most favored asset as it goes to the tax code. And so you saw a lot of people buying strip malls in the 70s and 80s, and you've seen a lot of things happen. But what's happening now? The economy's shifting. Government's always behind, right? And we didn't figure out that shift. Well, now you can, because we're seeing these strip malls, they're going away.
Yeah.
We're seeing really innovative things like Amazon is trying to buy Sears and JCPenney, right? But we have to learn how to use these things to our advantage and not just complain about the system. We have the power to do both. We can walk and chew bubblegum all at the same time. So what do you think, Robert? Cooperative economics, yes or no?
Maybe.
Right, because then you got to factor in the people that you're working with.
Right.
Right. But, one of the things I always tell people, you always have to factor in theory and application. So in theory, it's wonderful. It's phenomenal. It's like being in school and they're talking to you about microeconomics and macroeconomics and supply demand curves and equilibrium. But when you get out in the real world, you're trying to do business. It's like, well, how do I actually apply that?
Right.
So,
right.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. So it looks like I evoked some people when I said HU. Tiffany, are you a HU alum? A Hampton U alum? So Adrian says, I really wish there were more of an investment in bringing this back to the high schools, electricians, mechanics, trades. I definitely think trades should come back, but again, what do we do to teach our kids trades? I mean, there's some black run unions that have stepped up and done some things, but we can't always rely on the system. And I know as we sit up here and talk, I probably sound like those people with the R and the elephant, but this is just about self-preservation as a community. So, you know, it is what it is. So Jody says weird is good. The weirder, the better. Thanks, Jody. It's all love when he says it.
Love is love. Yeah.
So Naz says, I love college and my MBA. I'm still paying for it and the student loans throughout. Yeah. We definitely need more quality tradesmen. Darren says he loves college too. Jody says she utilized community college to complete prereqs for a degree. All right, so just getting through some of these. Listen, if you guys have any questions, I got Rob here, right? Rob's kind of special. He does mortgages and he makes them really easy and he's very good with customer service. I just experienced that. I've actually experienced it a couple of times, but he just hooked a client of mine up who's been dragging their feet, going back and forth over the last month. And I just knew Rob was going to snap on him. I think I might have, but he didn't. He was solid throughout. So I appreciate you for that, Rob. But if you have any questions about mortgages, if you have any questions about the home buying process, if you have any questions about taxes, real estate, investments, all the things that I've worked in over the years, go and throw them in. I'll probably rock out for a little while longer. We've been on for an hour and a half so far, y'all. So I ain't ate yet. Y'all know how I get when I ain't had my vittles. So, get those questions in. Hey, Mark, how you doing? My other Wichita Connect. The way we attend college has changed. Elective classes typically only serve to pad the coffers of universities. Core classes needed to provide the necessary knowledge are all that's needed. Hanging titles and initials after your name is costly. I would disagree with that, Mark. I would. I know Rob is shaking his head at me again. So what you got, brother?
I think you hit it on the head, man. It's I love education. Let me put that out there. It costs too much, and just like what was that, Mark, that just made that comment? Let's get to it. There's a lot of jobs that could be had. Everyone doesn't have to go. Those that do go, I'm seeing on the back end, and these folks are upset. And even the gentleman with the MBA, kudos to you. If you're making a wage that's commensurate of what you invested, again, get your education. I have education as well. It might not sound like it, but I do. And
how many degrees you got, Rob? You be holding out on us. How many degrees you got?
I have 2, but that's, to be honest with you, man, I could care. I didn't have to go to college. If I would have known some of the stuff that I know now or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have went. It was a waste of time for me. That's just my honest opinion.
So you didn't learn anything in college at all. Nothing that expanded your horizons, nothing that expanded your mind outside of your core classes.
What I learned was I grew up, right? Grew up a lot, and I learned that I can learn. And so that said, I believe if you would have put me in any other situation, back to parents and things of that nature, and being in this real estate industry and things of that nature, when I back to 2000, 99, 2000, you didn't even have to have a license to do this. I was able to get a license because I worked for Wells Fargo and managed banks and stuff at that time. But all I'm saying is it's the cost. It costs too much. And if the cost would come down, I don't have a problem with it. But just to get a piece of paper, to go into a job that most people, they're making anywhere between $40,000 and maybe $55,000 a year, and I'm looking at $100,000 to $200,000 worth of student loan debt. That's a problem. It's a problem.
I agree. But I'll say this, and again, this is my personal experience. Some of my and so I guess I'm probably a little different too, just to be totally honest and transparent. My father, black business owner, accountant, had me at his office every day after school, damn near. And so I got a lot of schooling consciously, unconsciously, through osmosis and the like. So I got to see a lot. And so when I got to school, my core classes weren't my hard classes. They weren't the classes that really expanded me. my elective classes expanded me. One class in particular, sociology, really expanded me, really made me think, really changed the way I see the world, and not be as closed-minded to things. And so I had this little short professor, little white guy, would jump in my face. Now, so I'm a kid from the hood. It's a nice hood, but from the hood.
Right.
And you don't just jump in my face.
Right.
That's usually cause for repercussions and consequences.
Yeah.
But I had to take it because he was my teacher. And going through that process, having him challenge all my worldviews, or many of my worldviews, made me to challenge more of my worldviews, made me to challenge more of my thinking, made me think about things and say, wait a minute, is that true? Let's challenge that and not be afraid to challenge things from a mental aspect. And I don't see a lot of people doing that these days. And so that's why, I love college, but I will say this too, right? My mother would make me read all kinds of weird Greek logic stuff. My dad was also a big proponent of me doing summer programs. So, it was a culmination of things.
Yeah.
It was a culmination of things. So,
and if we could cap it at $40,000 a year, I'm with it. Let's do it.
I mean, listen, there's no argument. College is too much. They have totally pimped the system. I think after we get out of COVID, you might see a repricing in some of the like anything below a tier 1 or tier 2 school. I wouldn't be surprised about that because again, what are you going to do? You got all this land. People aren't coming to class. What are you going to do? Parents are not happy about paying for their kids being taught virtually. I do know there are a couple of college campuses that have kids on campus. They're doing multiple testings a week and things like that. But I think it's really a change is going to come.
Right.
So Tiffany Thompson says it's based on the person. I would say community if you need to get the preliminary classes out and you're not 100% focused. I agree. If you can get scholarships, then sow your thing and don't lose it. Yep. Do your thing and don't lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it does help one become a subject matter expert to an extent. Yep, I agree. Yeah, that's true. College is not a job training institute. Yeah, I agree. It's kind of used for that though, right? Should it be? I say no. But everything kind of follows these patterns. And then we fall into just doing what everybody else does. Like I shared the other day about Uncle Tom and how everybody uses the term Uncle Tom incorrectly. Uncle Tom was actually a freaking hero.
I want to be Uncle Tom. Yeah.
As a pejorative statement, as a disparaging remark. Right. And that's not true at all. And somehow, somewhere, somebody told that story, it caught on and it won't go away. So, we got to be careful about a lot of those things.
Yes, sir.
Yes, agree teaches you to, Darren Miller says, yes, agree teaches you to survive, problem solve for the real world. Latoya says, love that analogy. I threw so many analogies, I missed that one, but thank you.
And she was talking to you because you're the analogy king.
No, that might have been for you. Yeah, we got that one already.
Yeah.
Jody says they were guaranteed well-paying jobs for young folks. Yeah, they were, but life changed.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It can be simple as volunteering. Yeah, absolutely. Volunteering in community, yes. Hampton, yep. What's up, Alton? How you doing? Thanks for checking in this week. Appreciate you. So Darren says, yes, you should have more Wealthy Wednesday discussions. Darren, I do these every Wednesday. No, that's my man now. Darren's actually one of my best friends. Yeah. Start with your four walls, start at home. Yep, absolutely. And he was kind of piggybacking off what you said, Robert, about being true to what you do at home.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
So Nas says kind of anti-life insurance personally. Nas, don't be anti-life insurance. It's great. It's a great tool when used properly. Better off just saving your own nest egg. So here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, you can't save your inheritance that quickly. And then you have no protection, especially for young parents. Like I tell anybody with a young family, I suggest them to have $1 million in coverage. And the reason I say that is because you get $1 million, you get that, you can immediately create a $50,000 income stream forever.
Yeah.
As we say in the industry, in perpetuity. So, you never know when that day is going to come.
Right.
And it's so important to have some coverage. So important. But
It's
I
a
get it
tool
too.
that's needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it too, Naz, because you're an accountant, so you're looking at the numbers and you're like, this ain't adding up. I can probably get a better rate of return in the market, or I can get a better rate of return investing in my business.
And he might be that one person, but we're talking the masses, right?
Well, yeah, but I would even say, even on an individual level, I would still say the benefits of life insurance still typically will outweigh.
I agree with you, but now it sounds like somebody he might be able to take that risk.
No, yeah, absolutely. But I don't know his family structure.
Right.
I don't know what he has. So it's not a cookie cutter thing.
Gotcha.
It's really customized for each person. So so Ms. Edith says my company didn't offer the variable options. Rest assured, I asked, my kids have whole as well. Right. So Ms. Edith, usually your company policy is kind of a bland generic policy. What happens is, and I want to explain this real quick too, because I actually got a question about this. People. I do say to max out your life insurance at your job.
Mhm.
But notice, if you leave your job, 9 times out of 10, your life insurance policy will end.
Yeah.
However, what you can do is you can do what they call porting your policy, which has some advantages. The cost may be a little bit higher, but it definitely has some advantages. But if you work 3 jobs and you have life insurance on 3 jobs, you don't have 3 policies 9 times out of 10, unless there was some kind of special policy that your company had for employers at the time. And a lot of them have gone away. But if you didn't port it, you don't have coverage. So you got to make sure you keep coverage and don't just assume just because you had coverage on your job and you're no longer at that job that you still have coverage. I personally think everybody should also have their own personal policy as well.
Sears just got rid of a bunch of policies.
You said Sears did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, really no such thing as term for a minor child. Very few carriers offer term on kids. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know why some folks get life insurance to cover their kids that they co-sign for on their student loans. Yeah, and mortgages. Right. A lot of times your mortgage companies will make you get a life insurance policy as well. Hey man, listen, no shade. All right, no shade. All right. So Mark Dane says renewable term policies allow children to roll a policy into a whole life or universal life guarantee, regardless of existing conditions. Regardless of existing conditions. That's actually one of the things, or one of the benefits of getting life insurance, regardless of the type of life insurance at an early age, is that, again, sometimes you can go from 5 to 10 and you can develop some kind of heart condition. But if you get it younger, you don't have to worry about that. Now, Mark, I'll be honest, I've never seen I've seen renewable terms or return of premium term policies. I haven't seen any renewable terms that, and yes, I will say this, you can convert your term policy to a permanent policy if you have the proper riders on your contract, on your life insurance contract. But I've never seen any life insurance term for children. And Mark, what age are we talking about? We talking beneath 18? Oh, you said no, there's no act of God clause. Okay. Yeah, that says I like the idea of creating investment groups for families. Listen, everybody, all ethnic groups that are very successful and that are thriving have some type of investment vehicle that they use, whether it be a bank. So in my city, Koreans have their own bank. They have their own shopping malls. I'll tell you what, I think it's sexy what they do. I have no problem with it whatsoever. The downside is involving money with family, right? So I was going to recite a Biggie line. I can't do it. It's too graphic. But I'll say this. Everybody says you shouldn't mix money with business.
Right.
I say it depends. Again, it depends, right? But when you look at the richest families, they're all families that did business with the family. Wawa, right? A lot of us have Wawa. Naz, I'm not sure where you are. By the way, everybody chime in. Where are you at? What part of the country are you in? But I'm not sure where Naz is. But if you look at Wawa, so Wawa started as this little kind of grocery store, milk store, sold milk. It's a family-run business. now, like 100 years later, they have retail stores up and down the East Coast, gas stations, the whole nine. It's a family-run business. Everybody loves their stuff. So it's amazing what you can do when you have a family business, because everybody kind of has a vested interest. Now, you shouldn't force people into business. People need to want to do it. For the families that are bigger, that have amassed major wealth, they do all kinds of training. They do all kinds of education. They figure out what everybody's strength is and what that strength can do to benefit the business. It's not just this idea of, hey, I'm going to start this business for my kids, start an LLC and give it to my kid when they graduate, because they know that really don't work.
Right.
Because when's the last time you tried to plan something for a teenager? And let me know how successful you were with that.
That's
but
good.
You know, what's that? Ask you?
I said that's good. Yeah. Sage advice. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, man, there's a lot of there's a lot of questions in here.
You got them going tonight, man. Mark answered your question too a little bit further down.
Who did?
Mark, about when you were asking him, when you were saying you don't have any knowledge of Whole Life for Kids. He responded a little.
No. I've seen Whole Life for Kids. I haven't seen Term.
I'm sorry.
For Kids.
Term.
Okay, so Financial Anatomy says in general people would do better, put less enthusiastic on using credit and more enthusiastic on ways to increase your, yeah, I say that all the time. I say worry about increasing your cash flow before you get super duper caught up in credit. Because credit can be a trap if not used right. All right. So Wayne Terry Jr. says the 10K project has a video about Family Bank. It's a family who has 7 figures in an account and assets. Shout out to Kamari, because I joined because of you. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And I'm actually going to be doing an interview with the 10K project soon. 10K project is a project started by some wonderfully smart young ladies who are very tech savvy. And they said, well, what happened if we can gather 10,000 people and we all just put up $100 to invest in a Black-owned business?
That's what's up.
And so they are going through all the processes now. They're doing the due diligence. They're registering with the SEC to do this all right and do it right. I'm definitely standing behind that project. Yes, if we can all get on the same page, and I believe Jody is responding to the commentary about family business. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's got to be on the same page.
757.
Wait a minute, we're at 757. We're at 757, Tiffany. Tell us. All right, so continue your education is never a waste of time. Yes, I agree. We all need to be lifelong learning. Yes, Jody, learning is lifelong. Whether it's formal or informal, lifelong learning is needed. Ms. Edith says you are correct. What are we doing to empower our families and the youth? The Wall Street Trapper said, why would a lion tell the gazelle, antelope, cheetah exactly how to not get eaten? All right, shout out to the Wall Street Trapper.
Shout out.
I haven't talked to him in betting yet, but I know a bunch of people that know him, and everybody speaks highly of the brother.
Yeah,
so shout out to the Wall Street Trapper.
From New Orleans.
Yeah. Darren Miller says, spot on, Rob. College costs are not in line with starting salaries. No, they're not. Please don't get confused about what I'm saying. College costs are not in line. And they are not. College costs are like rape, for lack of a better term. I mean, what they've done. They haven't really innovated that much to really justify this increase. Inflation hasn't gone up that much. I think college costs have gone up 20-25%. Inflation maybe at 2%, if that. So how much tuition goes to educated salaries? Well, it depends. Challenging and debating is one thing, and student loans is not worth it. People dying with debt. Black women are the most educated and most in debt. Please let the change come. Ms. Edith, I'll say that, yes, but Black women will also are the ones with the most opportunity, right? So we're fighting against college. We're fighting against student loan debt because we're stuck in the now in the short term. I'm pretty sure Black women will be able to pay off that debt if they are financially savvy, and be just fine. So Ms. Edith also says because they know we don't read regarding Uncle Tom.
Oh, yeah.
They can tell us anything, we run with it. Yeah. Josiah Henson was born near Maryland. When he was a boy, his dad was punished for standing up to a slave owner, for which he received 100 lashes. The real
Uncle Tom.
Uncle Tom. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
Facts.
I spent 11 years with AIG. No cap.
Yeah.
Of course, no cap, Mark. I ain't expecting you to have cap. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, Naz, you in New York, you in the tri-state area over there, New Jersey, New York.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in Philly. Adrian's in Chicago. Darren depends on the profession. I didn't catch that. Adrian, if you are on my YouTube channel, listen, I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, y'all. Listen, the algorithms won't let me be great. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, you will see an interview with the founders of the 10K Project, Miss Talisha Shine and Miss Cherie. I can't think of Cherie's last name, but you'll see it. It's on there. We had a great discussion. We had a really great discussion about 10K Project, about putting money together and using it properly, right? Properly with systems and processes and accountability. And I'll say accountability again, because, we're seeing people with these quote unquote Black-owned projects, but they're not being accountable to many of their investors. I'm not talking about a mistake, right? People are entitled to mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes, but I'm talking about accountability. And they are two different things. Accountability is, hey, I messed up. I need to make this right, and acknowledging it. So, we don't see a lot of that a lot of times.
VA.
All right, so Tiffany says, in SC, South Carolina from VA. All right, so my family hails from South Carolina, Geechee land. My grandmother used to call me the Geechee boy, because I love rice so much. New York, big city of dreams. Yeah, sorry, term riders are converted before age 25.
Renewable.
Okay. All right, renewable term policies are guaranteed for the amount as long as they are converted during the term. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, Mark, that makes sense. All right, Tiffany's in VA. Oh, Alton, you're in VA too. Oh, so we got 757 in the house. Okay.
Deep, heavy. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in South Carolina too, by way of VA. Yeah, my comments are jumping on me.
You hit those already.
Yeah. All right, well, listen, y'all, I'm going to begin to wrap up just a little bit. I'd like to know more about listen, Jody, you're supposed to be watching every video I put out, Big Sis. To the whole video. She usually does, though, so I'm just picking with her. Jody's one of my biggest supporters and has been for years. Quick question. What software are you using to live stream? Is it Ustream? No, it's not Ustream. You got to pay me for that answer, financial.
Yeah, drop your link, baby.
Try getting the cake batter there. You trying to lick the cake batter a little early. No, I use StreamYard. Thank you. Yeah. Couldn't figure that out. And yes, Jody works in Philly and lives in New Jersey. She loves her New Jersey. She abandoned us, y'all. She traded on us.
What?
Yep, since childhood. That is fact. Okay, so here's an interesting. Are tiny homes worth investing in for older home buyers? I'll say this. Most of the older home buyers I know are set in their ways. And some of them do want to downsize, but some of these tiny homes are really tiny.
They're really tiny.
Like really tiny. And I am mad at them. I'm not bad at them. And I do think they're for a great, I think there's a group of people that they were great for. Right. Like a lot of millennials are like them. Some of our eco-friendly folks really like them. But from what I've seen, you really kind of got to be on that vein. Now, if it was just me, I could get a tiny home. But then I got to get rid of the kids and the wife. And I don't know how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, watch out. Why you online? Watch out.
Hey, listen, my wife knows I talk trash. It's all in fun. It's all in fun.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So no other questions as we begin to close. Rob, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Always being a supporter. Thank you. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight for watching the Financial Rebel Show. And this is our Wealthy Wednesday segment where I answer questions. I feel like I kind of cheated y'all a little bit, even though I didn't. But we didn't answer a whole lot of questions. I just spoke to what I'm seeing out here. And that's cool, too, because, sometimes we got to do some of that as well. But again, Rob, tell everybody where they can find you at. Let them know what you do, because I don't know if I announced that you were a mortgage lender or loan officer, but let them know what you do and where they can find you at.
Yeah, Robert Lewis on all the social platforms that you like. You can search at LEND, the number 2 USA, Lend to USA, if you'd like to get in contact. And we're in the business of helping folks with purchase money and refinance money for residential mortgages, 1 to 4 units.
All right. So I know you'll be back soon. After this election, I'm pretty sure mortgage rates are going to change, or something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen.
Something's going to happen.
Something's definitely going to happen. Mm-hmm. I actually wanted to watch the debate tonight. I wanted to watch Kamala. Let me get the name right.
You didn't DVR?
Before Pence. What's that?
You didn't record it? DVR?
I don't know.
You'll catch all the good highlights. You didn't miss that.
Yeah. Social media will have me well informed.
All these people over here, you had to give the people what they wanted, man. They needed you, so this is more important.
I welcome everybody that's been here for the first time or just joining for the first time. And listen, on Saturdays I also do Wealthy Conversations. So on Saturdays we do market rundowns. We talk about some of the interesting things in the market and in money, and sometimes I'll bring on a guest. So we'll see what we have this week. All right, everybody. I will see you all later. Again, I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you all on Saturday at 11:30. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Blessings.